E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Natural Health and Wellness. On Wednesdays, we cover mentoring our youth. And on Thursdays, our new show, Ideas Worth Knowing. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. To be able to watch our television show on your favorite device, please go to e360tv.com and download the app for your favorite device. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and Donna Guinois. Along with our host, Beata Severin Reed and Emerson Brantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinois Balconi Leda. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. You've heard me talk a lot about the 6minutewebinar.com, and that's the website right there. You see on the marquee, the little ticker tape, 6minutewebinar.com. It really does one thing. And for example, many of you out there in TV land know that I'm a member of Melaleuca. Now, let me say this very clearly and very openly. Melaleuca is not an MLM or an affiliate marketing company or anything like that. Think of it like a Costco or a Sam's Club. You become a member there, and as a member, you can buy products at a reduced price, which saves you money. In addition to that, they have all kind of products. They got cleaning supplies. They've got, you name it. It's kind of like a superstore on steroids, as I like to call it. And my point being, I use the 6-minute webinar to be able to do one thing. You can see my Melaleuca page there, melaleuca.com/Jim Grant. I'm using the 6-minute webinar to communicate to one specific group of people. And that's the people that I have a compassion in my heart to help. And that is people who have had heart attacks, heart disease, because I've been there. Those of you that follow the show know that. And this is the, you can't see it this well. It's a red and black box. Let me turn the light, get it out of the Peak Performance Heart Health. If you go to Melaleuca, click on the box. Look for Heart Health, pack. It's a Heart Health Performance Pack. And click on the box, then scroll down, and then look at all of the studies that's been done on that product and what it does for the heart. Then you can make the right decision for yourself. But you can easily see, using the 6-minute webinar as an example, someone interested in improving the health of their heart, they don't care about cleaning supplies or anything else. They really, truly don't. And it's amazing for us to, to think sometimes we've got to tell everybody everything. But whenever it comes to you getting your message across on your product or your service or whatever it is you offer, be sure and communicate one-on-one with one person. And talk to them with a one-on-one type of conversation, because that's what they want to know. They want to know whether or not you can help them, in their hour of need. That's what they want to know. Okay. Now, our show today is all about health and wellness. Dr. George Grant is going to be joining us today. And Dr. George Grant is running a few minutes late. He's in traffic trying to get back to his house where he can hop on the show here with us. But I have Jeremy Stone with us. And the thing that I want to share with you, we're going to be talking today about obesity and diabetes, because that is a major, major thing in our society today. I think everybody knows somebody that's suffering from diabetes or has diabetes. It's probably more than one, that's for sure. People in your family and friends. But anyway, let me invite Jeremy to the show and let's talk a little bit about diabetes, because he's got skin in that game, don't you? Hi,
Oh,
Jeremy.
yes. Hey, how are you, Jim? Pleasure to see you
Fine.
again, my friend.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, I struggle with diabetes since 2012. So,
Mhm.
definitely aware of the challenges it creates. And
Could you adjust your camera a little bit? Looks like you're a little low and you're kind of centered a little bit. The other way. There you go. Yeah,
there
you
we
scoot
go.
that chair left and right like I do sometimes. Oh my goodness.
How's that? How's that?
Yeah, that's real good.
All
And
right.
share a little bit with people about, your experience and what you went through, and, the reason why you wanted to be on the show today to talk to people about diabetes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure that probably most of your audience, they know somebody who has had diabetes because it is so rampant throughout our country. And it's one of the leading causes of death in our country, as a matter of fact. And, 9.5 million people a year die from it. Uh,
Hmm.
and it's the leading cause of blindness, and
Hmm.
the leading cause of kidney failure, and the leading cause of limb amputations in the country. So it's a pretty serious thing, and it costs our country hundreds of billions of dollars every year in medical care, lost time at work, all that kind of stuff. So, when somebody gets diagnosed with diabetes, it can be kind of really depressing, and a lot of times people who are newly diagnosed will go into denial, and they will just kind of shrug it off. They don't mess. It's just something that your mind doesn't want to accept, right? That
Hmm.
you've got this thing, diabetes, and the thought of having to inject yourself with insulin every day is
Oh,
is pretty daunting, right?
it really is. It truly is. And I'm looking here at a chart of diabetes, and from it says here in the millions, it was less than 6 million in 1980. Now, this is from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And from 1980 to 2007, it more than tripled.
Right.
From
And why
under
do you think
six,
that is, Jim?
I think a lot of it has to do with our diet. I'm not an expert in it, but less than 6 million in 1980 to 2007, which is what? How many years ago was that?
That
Let's
was a
see.
good
7
30.
from 13 is 6, so that's about 16 years ago. And even then, and I just pulled up this chart randomly, it jumped from under 6 million to over 18 million. And that's a period of 27 years.
Yeah.
So it more than tripled. So something is going on there.
Yeah.
And when you talk about, I'm looking at another chart here. Let me so I can blow it up and get a little bit bigger. Number of millions from 80 to 08. Well, again, it goes up well over 18 million, but I better find me a better chart while I let you talk there.
Yeah. So 1980, you said? 1980
Yeah.
to 2007?
Yeah. From
So
under
that's,
6 million to over
yeah.
18 million in those 27 years.
Yeah. So in those 27 years, you're absolutely right. The diet is a huge part of the contributing factors between this. But, really, Jim, did the American diet change that drastically in that time frame, or is it the way that we process our food that has changed so much? And the reason why I ask that is because in decades past, the sweetener that was used in most processed foods and foods that you buy in places was, like based off of maple syrup and honey and whatnot, that have a lower glycemic index to them, so they don't make your sugar spike so much after you eat them. But it's not as cheap as, say, corn syrup and rice syrup and those types of things that obviously cause your glycemic index to spike significantly after eating, which in turn causes your body to produce a whole bunch more insulin, which then your body can become resistant. That's actually what diabetes is insulin resistance, right? It becomes resistant to the, so pretty soon it's kind of like the person that starts taking like a drug, an opiate, recreationally. Pretty soon the same amount doesn't give them the same high, right? So they keep increasing the amounts, and that's what your body's trying to do. That same amount of insulin doesn't affect your sugar anymore in your bloodstream, and therefore it keeps trying to produce, but your pancreas can only produce so much.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've got to admit, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know as much about diabetes as that possibly I should, to be honest with you. But that's because, my focus and my interest has been on other things. I've always been blessed with good health. So when I had my heart attack, that took me by surprise. But people out there, have got to understand that whatever we put in our bodies, we have to be very, very careful of. We've got to be mindful of it because, another thing too, you got to take into the equation. Your body changes as you grow older significantly. We all know that. I'm going to be 75 in August, and no one has explained to me that I can't do today what I did when I was 25. And then like I told the doctor one time, he says, well, I was about 55 then. He says, well, you're in very good shape and you're doing this. You could do this and you can do that, but you can't do what you did when you were 25. I looked at him, I said, well, who wants to be that dumb again? But our bodies do change, and we see changes. Things that, like my wife, she can no longer eat certain foods because it affects her. She feels it. And 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't no problem. So something happened there. And we're just talking about, just simple food. We're not talking about processed food. We're just talking about simple food, like some of the spices that she used to use in her cooking. She can't put it in there anymore because it, bothers her stomach. And that's what we're talking about. And when it comes to, I like the word that Dr. Grant came up with, or you came up with, one of you guys came up with it. When you talk about obesity and diabetes, you call it diabetes. Is that right? Or
Diabesity. And that's purely Dr. Grant who came up with that term, and I think it's grand. I think it's great.
Yeah, it really is, because it really hits the nail on the head, and it's I just got a message from Aaron Hymas at E360 TV. He's tuned in watching today, and Aaron, we're so glad you're here. He's the president of E360 TV, and we're so glad to have our show here because we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Every day we got a different topic, and we're going to be working with him. We're actually going to be getting shares of E360 TV. Just got that notice. Yeah, it is. And I guess we must be doing something right. But that also leads me into a very important principle. This is why Jeremy's on the show. This is why Dr. Grant's going to be with us as soon as he gets out of that traffic jam and to the house. We're all about helping each other, because in life, you really need to surround yourself with people, and your attitude should be like going to a potluck dinner. Everybody focuses on what they bring to the dinner, their special dish, or 2 or 3. You can bring 4 if you want to. We won't complain. But when it's time for the dinner, we all sit down and we share our blessings with others. And there's always plenty to go around, and there's plenty to left over. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So therefore, in your life, as you travel down the pathway of life, make sure that you surround yourself with good people who you can bless and they can bless you. And that's what makes life worth living. And that will bring blessings your way. And, you know, I met Dr. Grant through the 6-minute webinar. And I got to tell you a funny story since he's not here. We talk about the 6-minute webinar. And if anybody's been on the show, watched the show much, you know Dr. Grant, you know he's like a walking encyclopedia. He wants to tell you everything. Well, he was going to do the 6-minute webinar. He had 67 slides on a PowerPoint already prepared. Ladies and gentlemen, he went through the 6-minute webinar, which is really 6 minutes. It's not 7, 8, or 9, or 10. It's 6 minutes. It has an introduction, a body, and a close. And he's flipping through, and he showed every one of those 67 slides that he created. So it must look like they were going to the movies there, you know, and him talking. And I like to share that tease him a little bit too. If he was here, I'd tease him about it. But the point being, that's where we initially met, and look where it led us to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I did not know anything about the AO scan. You didn't either. And when he was scanning me over a Zoom call, I'm going like, you just what? You just scanned me? Because it didn't take long, did it?
No, it sure doesn't. And yeah, I think it's you made a great point there about each of us. I love the potluck analogy because really, you know, a community is strongest and a community is best when each person brings their gift or their superpower, right, to the potluck. And so when you do what you best, you know, I do what I do best, you do what you do best, and neither one of us do what each other does better than the other, right? But we each have our own giftings, and so I think that's you know, I love collaborating and how you know, people with very different backgrounds and very different gifts are able to come together to make a much more larger impact on community as a whole. So that's fantastic.
It really, truly is. And that's the way you really get ahead, because just like we've all heard the word, there's no letter I or no I in the word team. And when you have a strong team, you got people you can rely on your hour of need.
Yeah.
For example, on our Thursday show, the idea is worth knowing. That is mainly Emerson Brantley and Mike Lewis. Now, I got to give a shout out to those guys because they're on Thursdays. But here's another nicety to know. Let's see. Here we go. They cover the Thursday show. That's their show, and I'll let them run have the ball on that. But Mike Lewis and Emerson Brantley, they demonstrate what I'm just saying, because they do sponsor the Thursday show, and they do offer, if you see there on the ticker tape, you can receive your complimentary 10 books you get your library card for free at ideasworthknowing.com. Now, let me just share something there very quickly. Mike has over 1,000 best-selling authors. He's been doing this for decades. And right now, he's been out sick for the last 3 weeks. So when you go there and you fill out for your library card, he's got his VA or whoever person is, the technical person there, working on it, but it's not complete. But Mike is not able to do the show, so I fill in for him because I'm a team player. But those 10 books, you can get one at a time, 2 at a time. You can sit down with somebody else, and they might say, well, I'd like to have that one and that one. That's fine. But those 10 books are complimentary. And they come from a portion of those books. When I say a portion out of each of those books, because he's putting together a series kind of like chicken soup. So that people who are interested in business, they can look at business. People who are looking at real estate, they can do that. People who are interested in whatever all the different categories he has there, they can pick and choose topics of interest to them. There is no strings attached. That's very, very critical, because when you offer something complimentary, the people have to know that there's no strings attached.
Yeah.
Because many times we talk about me being a speaker. we talk about, these events that you go to and all that. And I guess we've all been there where I've never participated in one of these events other than just being an attendee. Let me make that very, very clear. But we've all been to these events where they make it sound so good. It's free to come, but they do everything they can to make you pay before you leave. Free to come, pay to leave, right? A lot of you people out there in TV land know exactly what I'm talking about. And that is why we do not play that game here. And neither does Mike, neither does Emerson. And I wanted to give them a shout out there for the wonderful work that they're doing. And ideasworthknowing.com. You can get your complimentary card there. And I don't know if the website is complete yet. Mike's had her working on it. Like I said, he's been out sick for 3 weeks, so he's been kind of out of touch. And, but just keep after it because they will be free. There's no strings attached. So I wanted to share that. And also, too, one of the things I like to point out, and I should do this more often, is that when it comes to finding out about yourself and what it is you want to do in life, on YouTube, you could go to Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret. I met Mr. Nightingale when I was about 17 or 18 one time. I knew who he was, but I knew nothing about him. But The Strangest Secret, it's an MP3 that's on YouTube, which means it just has a picture of him there, but there's no video. You can just put that on, listen to it, close your eyes, and listen to that message because you are very, very special. You are entitled to live a life of love, joy, and abundance. And everything that Jeremy and Dr. Grant are working on when it comes to diabetes and things like that, they want you to live the best life you possibly can. And Jeremy, in your case, you shocked even your wife because you had not only diabetes, but you had something else. Would you share the whole story? I mean, listen to this, folks. This is interesting.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of, side effects or ancillary conditions that come out of having uncontrolled diabetes. And one of them that I had and was diagnosed with was diabetic peripheral neuropathy. Basically what it means is that because of my uncontrolled diabetes, the sugar inside the blood, actually, when you look at it underneath the microscope, looks like a whole bunch of razor blades around the molecule, the sugar molecule, right? Mm-hmm. So having excess amounts of sugar inside the blood actually causes damages to the blood vessels and the tissues, especially in your peripheral limbs, your hands and your feet. So I had really, really bad neuropathy in my feet, and it destroys the nerves in there. And what happens is it feels like your feet are on fire all day long. Mine was getting pretty bad. Oftentimes I'd be on the couch at night with my wife and tears would be running down my eyes and I'd be rubbing my feet. And the doctors had put me on some strong prescription medication to help with the pain. And it kind of dulled it a little bit, but didn't make it go away. And they had told me that if I got my diabetes under control, that I could stop the progression of the damage, the neuropathy, but that I would always be suffering with at least this current level of pain, which was pretty bad. And on top of that, just like we talked about insulin resistance, that my body became more and more resistant to the medication to control the pain, and I need to take higher doses as well. And after meeting, Dr. Grant and getting on some really quality nutritional supplements and making just some minor tweaks, within about 3 to 4 weeks, all the pain was gone in my feet, which was a miracle because the doctors, my MDs, had said that it was irreversible. So my wife noticed that I wasn't rubbing my feet and wasn't crying at night or anything like that. She actually goes, "You're not doing this." Was because my feet don't hurt. So it's
all Dr. Grant's fault, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just such a firm, I've never been, I was just sharing with somebody in a coaching call today that I've never really been a health nut, right? I use that quote unquote. Yeah. I've never been like an environmental greenie or anything like that. But I can tell you that having learned so much as I have, in the last few months about wellness and the impact it can have on my own body, that I've learned to integrate that in, and I actually want to help people to get better at that. And
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor like Dr. Grant. That's not my specialty or anything like that. But my specialty is to serve people and help them. And if I can do that doing this, then I'm certainly going to.
Dr. Grant's, he's in the back office there. He's wanting to come in. But when I bring him forward there, I want you to share, I don't recall, how did you guys actually meet? How did you, find out? Because I know when he talked about the AO scan, you thought it was some type of a mumbo jumbo hocus pocus.
Yeah.
Did he have anything swinging back and
Yeah,
forth?
he didn't have anything. I didn't see no incense going or anything like that. But no, I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur, and I help business owners. And so we met in a business networking, online virtual business networking event, and we got put in this random. It was a speed dating style business networking, and they randomly put you in to a room with somebody. So we are randomly placed in a room to meet each other, and we connected afterwards.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. You were putting some speed dating kind of, but that's exactly what it is, because I've been in those. And, most of the time you're going to know because you got about 1 minute. This is who I am, da, 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 da. This is what I do, da, 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 da. And the other person standing there and they're looking at you, and then, then it's their turn for 1 minute to tell you this is who they are. This is what they do, da, 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 da. And you'll know within that 1 minute whether or not there's any type of collaboration there between you, whether you got some common ground. And you'll also be able to pick up on those that are looking at you like this, thinking, okay, what can this guy do for me? Or what can this gal do for me?
Yeah.
That's not a good connection. But it's amazing. Those things really do work. And it was just by chance you guys were thrown in the same room. And then how did you find out about Dr. Grant having the AO scan? How did that all come about? I'm going to let you guys share that.
You want to share, Dr. Grant, or you want me to share?
Go ahead, Jeremy. You're the best.
Oh, yeah. No, well,
showtime, brother. Showtime.
So Dr. Grant does not keep it a secret. Yeah, he is on a mission to serve as many people as he can, and I mean, he just told me about it and told me he had a scan and invited me to come and do it with him, which I reluctantly did, but because I just didn't believe. I was ignorant, right? I was ignorant. And I'm not afraid to say that. I was ignorant, and I didn't understand the science or anything like that. And I thought, well, how can this be true? So I was like, well, I'll go. I got a little extra time. And then as he did the scan, he began pointing out things that I never told him about. There's no way he could have known. He was pointing out things in my body that I know because I see doctors all the time, right? And then I began, okay, maybe there's something to this. And then I did the research afterwards, right? And that was one of the things I really loved about my first meeting with Dr. Grant is that he didn't just say, this is the way it is and listen to me because I got 3 doctorates and all these master's degrees. He said, has your MD ever told you this? No. He goes, don't take my word for it. Look it up when we're done here, right? He didn't expect me to just take his word for it. He's like, you go do your own research. And I really appreciated and valued that about him. And I did. Afterwards, everything. I took notes and everything that he said, like that medication. Did you know that it's been linked to cancer? I was like, no, they never told me that. And then I go and look, and sure enough, it had been recalled a couple times in the last few years, because of having excess carcinogens in it. So, I love that about him, that he wasn't just like, I'm the doctor, listen to me. He's like, did your doctor tell you this? I'm going to tell you this, and you go check to make sure that I'm right.
That's really amazing, because one of the things I like about Dr. Grant too, you can see his website there. academyofwellness.com is his website. But if you go to, just like the little ticker tape there says book.academyofwellness.com, you can go there. You can take the Wellness IQ test. It's 10 simple questions, and it's multiple choice, so you don't have to remember anything. And when you get done, you're emailed the results. But before you leave that page, I want to share this about what Dr. Grant offers. If you scroll down, he has a recipe there for, he calls it the wise drink for complete detox. And I'm just going to share this with you as I look at the actual page here. You add 1/2 teaspoon of lemon, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. All of these are 1/2 teaspoon. So you add lemon, baking soda, apple cider, vinegar, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, cayenne pepper to 1 liter of water and herbal tea, and you can add the above to your daily fiber. And so you can go there and you can get that recipe, 1/2 teaspoon of each one of those things, and you can flat down be able to detox your body. And that's just one of many ways that Dr. Grant gives back. Now, also, too, if you're watching on this show, you let him know that either Jeremy, myself, or even Dr. Grant, we all three recommend that you find out about the AO scan. Let Dr. Grant perform the AO scan on you. At least you will have a comprehensive report that you can take to your medical doctor and say, hey, what's going on here? And do seek medical advice on it, because that's what it does. It gives you a readout of what's going on. It measures your voice frequencies. Now, the normal price on that is his reduced price is $150. But if you tell him you saw it on this show, or if Jeremy recommends, refers you, or me, or if Dr. Grant refers himself, he'll do it for $100 just because he likes you. And that's an hour of his time, ladies and gentlemen. That's an hour of his time. And I wanted to put that in there for you because there it is. That's the AO scan right there. And that little booger right there, he doesn't tell he didn't tell me, because I got this report before and after, and I'm going like, when did you do this before and when did you do the after? And that little AO scan, when he holds it up, the first thing it does in a matter of seconds, we're talking 10 seconds or less, it picks up who you are right now with your frequencies in your body, because all of our bodies have signals in them. Everything is an energy in our bodies. And those frequencies get picked up. And then that little device, scanner, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to let Dr. Grant explain it, because when he holds it up again, it kind of brings all your frequencies in balance. And I'm probably slaughtering that by saying it like that. But anyway, am I close? Am I in the ballpark there? Help me out here.
You're 100% correct, Jim. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of Jeremy, because you are my wellness heroes. How can anybody think that Jim Grant, my other brother from the other mother, can recover from open heart surgery just by following simple tips? And in fact, I detected something in his left ventricle almost 6 months before he had the heart attack. And I told him, Jim, be careful. This is something showing here because the device actually, as Jim was explaining, detect and correct voice frequency and voice energy. So when I told Jim that he has a little bit of a challenge, I recommended him to go and see a cardiologist to do ECG, AKG, and do the heart scan and so on. He said, no, I'm fine. My cholesterol is fine. My blood pressure is fine. Don't worry about it. It's just like, it's an anomaly in your device. Anyway.
Actually, what happened prior to that, I had talked to my doctor. And I said, heart disease runs in our family. My brother had a heart attack, had to have open heart surgery for 3 bypasses. And I said, I just want to, since my dad died of heart attacks and strokes, I'd like to get mine. He says, you're fine. And see, here's the hammer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not knocking anybody, because the doctor told me the truth based on what they have at their fingertips. Yes. They can only work with what they have at their fingertips.
Exactly.
So you can't fault somebody for that.
No.
But back in 2009, the UCLA Medical School, University of California at Los Angeles Medical School, they created a document, and you can find it online. I think it was in June of 2009, where that 75% of the people who wind up in the ER with a heart attack had no previous warnings or red
Yes,
flags.
100%.
And I
100%.
also read in there, and I talked to my next door neighbor who's he's a retired doctor, he's in internal medicine. He says, Jim, he says, I know that. He says, I knew that then. He says, I was one of the catalysts. I used to work with the University of Houston on heart, and said, hey, we got some problems here. And he says, there's a lot of medical doctors that don't believe that. And he says, I'll tell you why they don't believe it. He says, when you wind up in the ER with a heart attack, they don't call your medical doctor. They call the cardiologist. Your medical doctor never sees you. So how would they know?
Exactly.
And see, that's part of the pitfall we all can fall in. That is the value of the AO scan, plus the fact there's other alternatives out there. One of the things that I found that's really a blessing, and you can get this anywhere, is do your research, just like Dr. Grant told Jeremy, do your research. And I'm looking for this thing. I got about 55 different ticker tapes in here I got to feed through. But anyway, do your homework and research on dandelion when it comes to the heart. It is an amazing thing. It's a great product. And many cardiologists that do not prescribe the statin type of drugs, the regular prescription drugs for the patients because of the side effects, they talk a lot about the studies done on dandelion tea. It comes from the root of the dandelion. Do your research on it. Talk to your cardiologist and make the right informed decision for you. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes. And you're right, Jim. It's a best wellness assessment tool. It is not diagnostic tool. So we use this to assess and to predict what's going to happen before the heart attack sets in. So that way, it's basically this wellness assessment is based on 15-second voice to produce 220 pages reports. And some people are still, skeptical about in fact, Jeremy was so skeptical in the first half an hour. I said, really? 15-second voice, you're going to give me 200 pages report, more accurate than my doctor's report in Kentucky? I said, Jeremy, have you had some problem with your left shoulder? He said, yeah, I did. How did you know that? And then he was shocked. And then I did the scan for him, and I found some neuropathy, some numbness in his foot. And he said, Jeremy, have you experienced neuropathy? He said, yeah, how did you? Really, the device detected all of that? So this is what we're doing here, Jim and Jeremy. It's everything about the assessment, detection of the voice frequency, correcting that. And then remember, I know both of you are heroes in reversing your open heart surgery. And finally, listen to me when I tell you to do something that you're going to be proactive in doing it. And Jeremy was actually very compliant. He did everything I told him to do. And he... in fact, out of my 25,000 clients worldwide, the average wellness IQ is 55%, which means they walk in 50-50. They are not quite healthy, but 50-50. Jeremy's wellness IQ was under 40. So he's really he was taking 6 medications for this, and he's not feeling well. The diabetes is not controlled. So anyway, his wellness IQ today is over 85%. He is not taking any medication. I did not tell him to stop any medication. I do not tell anybody to stop medications. Voluntarily, he felt better in 3 weeks. He stopped all medications. His blood sugar was a high 300, and now his blood sugar is under 90, which is normal blood sugar for somebody who's diabetic. So you know what? If Jeremy can do it, and Jim can do it, can you imagine if we can reverse diabetes and obesity? Because Jeremy actually released about 12 pounds in 3 weeks. That's amazing. So if we can reverse diabetes and we can reverse obesity, we call it the new diabesity. If you marry diabetes to obesity, you're going to produce a new disease called diabesity, which is actually the upcoming epidemic that hit America, Canada, and Europe, because 38% of all Americans have diabesity. 38%. The other 38%, they have it, but they don't know it yet. Okay, it's still not probably assessed yet. So they should come to us to do the assessment for them, and in 3 weeks, like Jeremy, and a month or so, like Jim, they can reverse this. Why? Because look at the word health. What's the first 4 letters in the word health? HEAL is to heal. So the body has the capacity to heal if we give it the proper raw materials, the proper lifestyle. It's all about lifestyle. It's all about what you eat, what you do not eat, and what's eating you for stress. In fact, I came late here in this. I always come at 4 p.m. I was stuck in the highway here. The traffic in Toronto now is becoming worse than Los Angeles or worse than New York. It's really bad here. The traffic is so. My first stressor is get stuck in traffic because you know what to do. You're stuck on the highway. So I took the belly breath. I drink my water, and I made it finally here 15 minutes late, but I made it. The problem is how we do cope with stress. We cannot eliminate the stress. How do we cope with diabetes? It's not with medications. It's not with operation like amputation. It's by proper healthy lifestyle like what Jeremy did. Can you imagine under 40 and then above 80 in 4 weeks? Like if every American does this, we'll eradicate diabetes and obesity or diabesity. This is the biggest epidemic right now that's hitting the modern world.
Yeah, because just like Jeremy, people out there that suffer from diabetes and the issues with that. I can't imagine. I mean, I watch my son-in-law, and I've got a daughter-in-law that suffers from diabetes, and it's pretty. It's very hard on the body. And can you imagine if someone out there in TV land, whether you're watching us live, watch us on a replay, or see this show 6 months from now, can you imagine how you would feel if you were able to be like Jeremy?
Yes.
And take control
yes.
of, you may have diabetes, but diabetes does not rule your life.
Yes.
Being able to manage it and put it into recession. And that's what Jeremy has done. And Jeremy, would you be, would you be kind enough to share with the folks out there how you felt when you felt empowered? And I'm going to use the word empowered. You could use a different word, but how did you feel when you said, hey, I don't have diabetes controlling me. I can start controlling it. And I'm going to use those phrases, but pick it up from there and clean it up for me, sir.
Well, there's that common phrase that knowledge is power. I don't hold to that. I believe that applied knowledge is power. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if it just sits there, there's no power to it, right? And so I think that once I gained the knowledge that I did and began to apply it, began to see the results, the daily wins, the wins I was seeing right away encouraged me to continue on. I think one of the biggest struggles that most diabetics have when they don't have their diabetes under control, or they don't have a plan or guidance or whatnot, is that, it's a yo-yo. Like you might feel like you're good today, and then it goes up, and then you get discouraged, and then, I'm already up here at 280. What's one more donut, right? I mean, it's, and really they're taking the sugar to bring in the like dopamine type effects. It's like a drug, right? And now that I've gained control and began to really kind of watch what I eat, but I'm no freak neither. I'm not like so intense on what I eat. I've just kind of changed. I've made some changes to the way I did things. So I don't want to scare anybody away going, oh my gosh, I can't do this crazy diet. I didn't do a crazy diet, right? I just kind of changed a little bit about the way that I looked at food. I did stop getting like candy, and those types of things. And I told my wife, this is like crack cocaine to me.
Yes.
I'm serious. She said, I went to go to the store to get some groceries after I began trying to really get control. And I asked her if she wanted me to get her a treat, meaning candy for her. Right. And I literally, this is what happened. This is a true story, Jim. And this is how powerful sugar really is. And I want people to understand this. I went to that candy aisle. I grabbed for her right away. And I stood there in this aisle. Good thing there was nobody else in there. And I stared at my favorite gummy candy, right? And I'm like, okay, they had a big bag and a small bag. And I'm like, a small bag won't do. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be good. And then I stood there, and I walked back to my cart, and then I walked back to the shelf, and I walked back. This is a God honest truth. And then I walked over and said, here's a smaller bag, not a big bag. So I usually used to get like the sharing family size bag for me, right? So I went and grabbed the smaller bag, and I walked it back, and I put it in the top of my cart, and I stood there in this aisle staring at that bag. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. I grabbed it back out of my cart. I went and put it back on my shelf, and I went home, and I told my wife, I said, sending me to get you snacks is like sending the recovering alcoholic to the liquor store to buy your beer. And I said, that's what it was, and but since then I've become strong enough that I've bought them snacks, and I don't even faze me so much. But that's really what it is, and people don't realize we get hooked on this sugar. And it has that effect, but it's causing, just like a drug, it's causing so much damage to our organs and our vessels and our bodies. And worst off, Jim, is shortening our lives.
Yes.
Yes. I drive a lot when I don't like airports, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have any problem with flying or anything like that. I just don't like airports. I really don't, because every time I've flown here, ever since the TSA has been inspecting baggage and all, for some reason, they always want to do the touchy-feely with me and check and see how many pairs of underwear I brought with me in my baggage. But no, I prefer to drive because that's just my style, because I get there and, I'm relaxed. I got everything in my car and I don't have to worry about, my bags getting lost or anything like that. Either my bags show up with me or I don't show up at all.
Yes.
But I used to stop at convenience stores and I was on the road and I could not pass up a Snickers and a lemon lime Gatorade. That to me was a cat's meow. Then after I had my heart attack and surgery, and I definitely got to change some things, and I was just walking through one store here. Oh, that's probably about 3-4 months ago. I don't know. And just as a joke, I stopped in front of the Snickers. I was looking at it. And this guy was looking at some of the candy too. And I'm just checking myself, see if I still got the shakes. He looked at me and I told him there was a time I couldn't pass up a Snickers without having a lemon lime Gatorade. And then if I really wanted to treat myself, I get a package of those cheddar cheese peanut butter crackers.
Oh boy.
And sometimes that would be my meal on the road. And see, I did not realize, how harmful that was for me.
Yes.
And the wake-up call is the fact, like Dr. Grant says, what you've been eating is now going to start eating you. And he got a good meal off of me, I can tell you that. But my point being is that I was dumb enough, and I'll admit this on TV, because when you're honest with yourself, there's room for improvement. When you're not honest with yourself, you're only kidding yourself.
Yep, 100%.
And I used to think, hey, if I can, eat this Snickers and drink this Gatorade and eat these crackers and take me some good herbs, I'm still good to go. But see, what I did not realize, and this is something that you have to accept and realize as a fact, your body is a processing center. It can only process what you put in it. It is not a recycling center.
Absolutely.
And I didn't realize that. I just didn't.
100%.
But like I say, I went to night school on that, and I got a zipper to show for it. Threw the T-shirt away, didn't want it. But anyway, they did give me a red pillow, but I gave that to my granddaughter.
But that's a good point for people to realize too, and maybe Dr. Grant, you can kind of expand on this a little bit. But not everybody who has diabetes is physically obese. I mean, like visibly obese, right? And you might be able to eat all the food in the world and keep a very slim or maybe even super skinny weight, but be unhealthy as well. Is that true, Dr. Grant?
100%, Jeremy. And you're absolutely correct when you said knowledge is power, but applying knowledge is wisdom. So every smoker knows smoking is bad, but they keep smoking. So they didn't mature enough to understand that just trying to cut back on smoking, by the way, is a good thing. And you're right, Jim, when you said about what we eat can affect our health. Because if you eat the SAD diet, SAD, Standard American Diet, like Auntie Jemima and Uncle Jim and all of the soda and the fast food, the KFC, and all of the synthetic and fatty, greasy food, and then you're drinking soda. No wonder we have high diabetes. Like 37% of Americans have diabetes. If every Americans and every Canadians do the wellness assessment, which is free, do the AO scan. AO stands for Alpha and Omega. It also stands for analyze and optimize, because we analyze the voice, the frequency, and we optimize it. So AO scan detect. So it's a wellness assessment tool. If we can do this, just imagine we do this to every American and every Canadian. and then we can give them a recipe to improve their wellness IQ, like Jeremy, under 40 and now is above 80.
Mm-hmm.
We eradicate diabetes from the, seriously, like within 5 years, 10 years, we will have no diabetes. And then I guess the big company is going to suffer, big pharma will suffer from not selling enough insulin or metformin or glyburide or any of the stuff that they sell. But you know what? We're not against big pharma. We work with them because it's needed. We work with physicians. We work with all of them at this point because they manage, the diabetes. But we don't want to manage diabetes. We want to reverse it, like what we did with Jeremy here, and every other person who came to see us through this wellness assessment. Is we do this and help the body to heal, because the body have the capacity to heal and regenerate, as you guys said. Absolutely. So if we switch from the sad diet to a healthy diet, improve our wellness IQ, take simple supplements that help the body to increase circulation and to remove and to balance insulin resistance, because when you eat anything sweet, it gives you a spike. And the higher the sugar, and then the lower the sugar, hypoglycemia cause insulin resistance, it causes neuropathy. Eventually, it's going to cause amputation. We don't want that, because we care, we serve, we educate. Our mission is to educate. We do not medicate, operate, irradiate, amputate. We don't do any of this stuff. So if we can focus on health, heal the body, focus on the lifestyle, what they eat and what not to eat, and what's eating us for stress, then you know what? We will have over 95% success rate.
Oh, yeah, because as a bottom line, as you start improving getting rid of your bad habits, and start implementing, better habits to great habits, and start improving what you're eating. And a lot of times too, people will think they're hungry when they're actually thirsty. I have found that out. So again, go to Dr. Grant's website there, book.academyofwellness.com. And if you scroll down, you will see that formula that he has when it comes to protecting, the complete detox, because everybody knows how important it is to detox your body. I don't think anyone has to have that explained to them. But you put in that half teaspoon of lemon, baking soda, apple cider vinegar, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, cayenne pepper to 1 liter of water and herbal tea daily. And that is a great detox for your body. And that is one big step in the right direction, because once you're able to start detoxing your body, that means your body's going to think of it like being a radiator. I grew up on a farm. If all the dust and stuff caked inside of the radiator in front of the tractor, we would take an air hose and water hose sometimes, and we would run it from the backside from the engine through it to wash out all of that blockage, because that detox, it's got all those chemicals and everything else in there, and that is just lugging down your system, so your body cannot operate as efficiently as it should. And so we highly recommend that, because you can definitely take charge of your health and improve your health to some level of degree, whatever that might be. But just like Jeremy, man, he got excited. It didn't take him long at all. He jumped on that like a dog on a bone. He says, "Hey, this is a tasty bone. I like this." He's losing weight. His feet are not on fire anymore. And, his blood sugar is starting to, the high level starting to drop. Who would not like to see that happening in their life,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is that your family there calling you, George? Is that another customer? Another client?
Yeah, that's okay. 5 minutes. I guess 5 minutes yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We got about 2 minutes left, and I want to give you guys a chance to say anything you'd like to in the closing remarks. And Jeremy, you've been kind of quiet, so I'm gonna let you start first, brother.
Well, I just want to say, that you can take control of it, right? I was always under the impression that my doctor's in control of my health, but that's just such a fallacy, right? I'm in control of my own health and making my own choices. And it's really not an insurmountable task. It is something that anybody can do to make these changes, to get good, proper nutrition, to make sure that the body's, once I started doing that and getting, quality nutritional supplements, and I didn't look at food the same. I was not craving things, and my body was like, you don't really need that. So I drank I drink that miracle drink, that detox drink every single day. And I would just say before I close off on that, if you can't handle that much cayenne pepper in there, please don't just not drink the drink. Reduce the cayenne pepper to the. A lot of people can't handle that heat, but just reduce it to what you can handle. You don't have to put half a teaspoon in there. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Exactly. Yes, that's a good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's very good advice.
George. And Jeremy, if we do the scan like we did here for most of the people, before and after, like we did with Jim, and I did the scan for him after, and he went back to his physician, he found everything we found here on that scan is exactly what his physician told him. It agreed with CBC blood test, with MRI, PET scan. It will show in 3 dimensions. It will show everything about his digestion. It will show everything about his body here. You can see this is as accurate as doing MRI.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it costs you in America to do MRI on one organ? Just on one, or if you don't have insurance, you're looking for about $3,000. We do the complete body MRI here for $250, and then we for the senior and students we do it for $200. And now because Jim and Jeremy with us, if you refer anybody, we do it for only $100. I mean, you cannot get anywhere like this for 1 hour of my time to do all of this stuff in your body. 200 pages report like this to show everything in your body head to toe. I mean, come on. I mean, you owe it to yourself to do this. And just, by the way, we do not just work with diabetics and obese people. I work with the top 10 US athletes and 10 Canadian athletes and 10 European athletes. So if you know the best of the best and health-wise, send them our way to be healthy, because athletes have tendency to go into nutritional deficiency. So we help athletes help you with any conditions. All right?
Oh, yeah. And for my buddies out there, don't worry about the AO scan. He will not be able to measure your level of intelligence. He said something about the AO scan did not register that low to read mine. So I guess I got, flew on the radar on that one. No, but it's really amazing. And even in the hospital with all those tests they did on me, from Friday night till Monday morning, 67 tests. Now that sounds dramatic, but every time they drew blood out of the back of my hands, that's a test. Every time they took my blood pressure, that's a test, yada, yada, yada. So 67. They did not realize that I had the widowmaker in my heart till I went in to have the stents. And that's when the cardiologist says, you got to have open heart surgery. You need it today. You got the widowmaker. You got 90% blockage here. I'm like, oh, my goodness. So that's when the chickens came home to roost, you might say. But ladies and gentlemen, we're way out of time. We're almost at the top of the hour. Another show's coming on. We want to thank you so much for being with us, and we hope and pray that you and your loved ones are healthy and happy. Be sure and visit Dr. Grant's website there, academyofwellness.com, and go to book.academyofwellness.com and check it out. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.